So full disclosure, I had a request from Lisette to show her how to separate a snake plant from its mother plant. And so I decided to do a thing. So I went out and I got myself a brand new snake plant so I can show this process from start to finish. And I also really wanted to show this. I am really glad I had this request because it made me go out and look for this plant. Now, this is a plant I bought from a big box store. It's from Walmart. And there's technically nothing wrong with it, except it came in this self-watering pot. Yeah, when I got this, it was full of water. This plant had just been sitting in water for I don't even know how long, and it's considered self-watering because of this janky tie thing that was stuck to the bottom of it, where this is supposed to help it wick up water from the water that's just sitting in it, which it would be doing anyways because it's just purely sitting in water. So that is really super unhealthy for the plant, especially for this type of plant, but that goes for any kind. So yeah, I feel like I rescued this little plant. So yeah, so since this guy had just been sitting in water for so long, I just decided to let it sit out for about a week so it can slowly drain out and dry up a little bit before doing anything with it. And here you can see that the leaves don't look that great, but there are a couple of pups in there, so that's pretty cool. So it's a good choice for this separating and hopefully helping this plant after what it's been going through. It has some good leaves and also some that look a little wonky, with some browning and weak spots. So yeah, hopefully this will really help it out. Now, depending on how much water and soggy and soft the plant is, you can probably do this without a tool, but this one was pretty packed in there, and even though it's a little bit watery, I still needed to use my spade. So I'm just going around the edges very carefully, loosening up the soil and tapping the bottom of the pot to try and make it loose, and tapping on the sides and squeezing it a little bit to try and make sure I'm getting the plant out as safe as possible. After a few squeezes and tugs, it came out relatively easy, and you can see the roots are pretty good. Some of it looks a little questionable, but wow, this soil is just drenched in water, and you can see it actually just kind of falls apart in my hands. The plant overall looks alright, but yeah, this guy really needed some help, so I'm really glad I'm doing this. The soil is so waterlogged, it actually makes it really easy to take it apart, but it's not healthy for it at all. So yeah, well, the good news is it was easy to do, so relatively didn't take that much time. I was able to separate them pretty easily, and I had a little surprise because I thought the middle mother plant was just one, and then as I was taking apart the soil, it just separated. So that was really cool and a happy surprise. So just looking at the rest of what we have here, we have a couple of pups attached to the root ball at the bottom, and to separate those, it really is as simple as just snapping it off, which really looks scary and probably sounds scary to do, but yeah, that's the only way to do it. You can either do it that way or to cut it. Those are basically your only two options. That it doesn't hurt the plant, it should just come right off, and as you can see, that the cut is pretty clean. And right here I'm going to be using my garden scissors just to demonstrate how to do that, which is basically the same as if you were snapping it off. It's just another method. So after all that, this is what we have left. We have 3 pups and 2 separated parent plants, and I'm going to be using my Terra Cotta pots because those are my pots of choice, especially for any kind of cactus or succulent type plant. So that should be pretty good for these guys. So here I'm basically just sizing up which cutting and which pup will go into which container, what is good for the size of the plant and the pup. and how much soil I have left, because I was starting to run out. I'm basically just using the cactus and succulent soil from Miracle Grow. It's my go-to soil. I love it. I always have it on hand, and I live in Southern California, so I have a lot of cactuses and succulents, so I use it a lot, which is why I'm almost out. And if I have to, I will mix it with just some regular potting soil. It does not do any harm to the plant at all. It doesn't overwater. It doesn't maintain water more than the cactus soil. I mean, it's a mix, so it'll be fine. Moving on to the next pup, I am just covering the roots with some soil, and I'm trying to get it all nice and packed in there, and trying to make it as even in the middle as possible so that it can have an even spacing of soil around it. So moving on to the last two larger pieces, I'm just putting soil in the Terra Cotta pots, and I'm just hollowing out the middles a bit so I can make sure that there's enough space to put inside each large piece. And I've also wanted to do an experiment, so I'm going to be taking a leaf off of one of these two larger pieces, because I want to cut it, and I want to cut it and see if it'll actually grow in water. So now I'm just working on the last piece and potting it up and making sure it's okay and full of soil, and making sure that the roots are fully covered, and making sure I lift up leaves that might be kind of in the way, so I'm not getting the leaves covered with soil, but you want the soil to be covering the roots and the root ball, not the leaves themselves. So make sure you just lift them up as appropriate and move them around a bit, and maybe even give it a little shaky shake, and it'll be alright. So these are now my newly potted up and separated snake plant into each individual pot. One of the Terra Cotta pots has 2 pups in it. The other ones each have 1, and this one is my experiment where I'm going to be cutting it. I'm going to cut it into a V shape at the bottom, just 2 slices each, and I'm going to be putting this in a glass jar, and I'm just only going to fill it with water. And I have tried this before, no lie, and it didn't work, so I'm going to try it again and just see how it goes. So I hope this helps, and if you go out and get your own Sansevieria, aka snake plant, I hope you have a successful separating and repotting and doing your own experiments, and yeah, have a happy garden. And thanks for watching. And be sure to follow me on TikTok and subscribe to my channel so you'll always see when I have something new coming up. Thanks, guys.